The Wuhan influenza. Chinese coronavirus. COVID-19 infection, or just coronavirus as some like to call it, needs no presentation. It is the most recent aggravation we as a whole need to manage. The infection initially showed up in China and in under 2 months has spread to each mainland on the planet. It has executed more than 4,000 individuals up until now, and another 113,000 individuals are affirmed to be infected. Most individuals concur that the infection originally showed up in a fish advertise in Wuhan, China. It shows up, nonetheless, that some intrigue scholars don't accept this story. They state it is simply one more trick story somebody made up to conceal the genuine beginning of the infection.
A few people trust China made the COVID-19 infection as a major aspect of its natural weapon program. They state the infection later spilled from a lab, causing the epidemic. The lab being referred to as the National Biosafety Laboratory. It is the main Chinese government-claimed office equipped for directing examination into destructive infections. It is a piece of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is situated in Wuhan. On the off chance that you review, Wuhan is a similar city where the scourge broke out. These claims emerged over an announcement President Xi Jinping made just after the plague broke out. He said the security of labs was a national issue. The next day, the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology discharged directions on the most proficient method to tie down labs to forestall the getaway of infections. Scheme scholars back up their cases with the way that infections have prior spilled from Chinese labs. The fatal severe acute respiratory syndrome (SARS) infection got away from twice.
A few people accept the Canadian government drove by social investigations educator Justin Trudeau made the COVID-19 infection at the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, Canada. The lab is a Canadian government-claimed office that behaviors investigation into savage infections, much the same as the one in Wuhan, China. Conspiracy scholars state 2 Chinese covered agents took the infection and sent it to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where it wound up causing the scourge. The covered agents being referred to are Drive Keding Cheng and his better half, Drive Xiongguo Qiu. The couple worked at the lab until they were unexpectedly laid off in 2019. Conspiracy scholars said the pair were terminated for taking examples of the infection and sending it to China. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said they were ousted over arrangement and managerial issues. Who is coming clean?
There are theories that people got the COVID-19 infection from bats, while researchers are yet to confirm this case. A few people trust it spread to people after somebody crunched down on a contaminated bat. That somebody is Chinese travel blogger, Wang Mengyun. Mengyun turned into a casualty of a fear-inspired notion after a video of her eating a bat circulated around the web. She was blamed for getting the infection and spreading it to other people. Mengyun was later constrained by the Communist Chinese government to apologize for eating the bat. She included that the video was shot in 2016, 3 years before the COVID-19 infection showed up. It was not shot in China yet in Palau, an island country in the Pacific Ocean. Not all paranoid ideas have a name nailed to them. Like this one proposed by a gathering of Indian analysts. The analysts state the COVID-19 infection bears some similarity to the HIV-1 infection. They said this was sufficient proof to demonstrate that somebody had adjusted HIV to make this new virus. They distributed the paper on bioRxiv, a site for examined papers anticipating survey. The analysts didn't make reference to names, so we don't have a clue about the individuals dependable. The paper caused a discussion, making the specialists pull back it.
Wuhan was one of the main Chinese urban communities to get 5G web. It is a similar city where the COVID-19 infection previously showed up. Is that a happenstance? Dana Ashley says it is not. Ashley accepts the COVID-19 infection is brought about by radiation waves discharged by 5G web. She put together her cases with respect to a 2-decade-old research paper that uncovered 5G was perilous to human well-being. Ashley says the alleged coronavirus is really radiation harming. She says it debilitates the insusceptible framework, leaving an individual powerless against diseases. People on the opposite side of the fence say Ashley is simply one more intrigue scholar. They state the 2000 investigation she cited was disparaged by a recent report that demonstrated 5G was not risky to people. They likewise called attention to the way that Wuhan was only one of the 16 Chinese urban areas that got 5G web simultaneously.
On the off chance that you are attempting to see how Bill Gates fits into all these, we should return to October 2019. That month, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation teamed up with the World Economic Forum and the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security to test how well we were set up to manage an epidemic. In an inquisitive touch of destiny, the COVID-19 infection appeared 2 months later. Conspiracy scholars state the program was a preface to the up-and-coming plague, which each of the three associations had arranged from the beginning. In the interim, the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security has denied any connection between the occasion and the COVID-19 pestilence. Intrigue scholars supported their cases with the way that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had before given subsidizing to the UK-based Pirbright Institute, which has a patent on a coronavirus antibody. They state Bill Gates collaborated with the foundation to begin the scourge so he could sell the vaccines. The Pirbright Institute denies any connection between their association and the COVID-19 infection. A representative said they just examined into coronaviruses that influenced flying creatures and not people. Their immunizations don't work for people either.
There are gossipy tidbits that the United States government made the Chinese coronavirus. This case was first made by the Russian news Organize, Channel 1, during a live news communicate. A news moderator said the U.S. government made the infection to devastate China's economy. He included that the U.S. may have likewise made it so they could offer antibodies to the Chinese government. The moderator put together his case with respect to the way that crown implies crown in Russian and Latin. As we as a whole know, President Trump used to be an appointed authority on magnificence exhibitions and was some of the time responsible for delegated the champ. The moderator said this was the explanation the infection was named after crowns. Then, researchers state they named the infection after its crown-like shape.
The last name talking about the subject was the legendary Russian tennis player Marat Safin. Safin, who was the guest of Sports Ru's Instagram live broadcast, said that he did not believe in the epidemic of coronavirus and that a previously tried simulation was implemented. Here is the striking interview and interesting theories of the 40-year-old athlete. I think we are going through a process that prepares all humanity to live with the chips placed under their skin. Single quote. They planned these days. We lived at Davos Economic Summit years ago and simulated what could happen. Single quote. What did Bill Gates say in 2015? He said we would face a pandemic and that the near future enemy of humanity would be a virus, not a nuclear war. Single quote. I don't think Bill Gates is farsighted or makes a good guess. I think he knew everything from the very beginning. Single quote. I think what's happening with the virus isn't like what's shown or told to us. But people believe it. They believe in horror scenarios on TV. Single quote. Some even believe that civilization will come to an end. I do not believe it. They will soon place chips under the skin of all of us. They imprisoned the whole world at home, everything progresses as they want. I think there are bigger figures than political leaders. Real money daddies. ... And they actually rule the world. ... Single quote. Call them shadow government or something else. No matter what their name is. Maybe there are forces that we don't even know existed.